Father Dave said so well, it bears repeating, the wind blows where it will, and you can hear the sound it makes, but you do not know where it comes from, and you do not know where it goes. So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, the wind was blowing in our Kansas City province, inviting lay members to journey with the priests and brothers to answer the call for deeper commitment and to follow in St. Gaspar's footsteps. And thus the Companions program was born. But what does it really mean to be a companion? And how do we explain to our family and our friends what this is? How do I describe to all of you what it means to me to be a companion? How do I put into meaningful words something that is so deep in my heart and my mindset now, after all these years? And how is my concept of this honor, this cherished privilege of being a companion, changed over the last 27, 28 years? When I first became a companion, my husband Brad, who loves to tease me, used to say, "Oh, you're going to your codependence meeting tonight." And it used to make me really mad. But then I decided we are all dependent upon each other. We're dependent in that bond of charity, aren't we? That we are trying to carry that charity out to the world. But the companion program was really never intended to be a spiritual support group, nor an auxiliary organization. We're supposed to be co-creators and collaborators in this mission of Gaspar's. Now, this same husband is an avid Civil War reenactor. He's a Union Army veteran with the 16th U.S. Medical, and he's quite proud of it. And over the years, every time I would come down here for a retreat or for Precious Blood Assembly like now, he would say, "Hi, you're going to your priest reenactment." And I would tell him that the charism of our founder is not limited to professed persons. But I still haven't answered the question, have I? I really haven't said what it means to me to be a Precious Blood companion and what living my covenant means. Well, I thought that it would help me to put it in words if I maybe read over my previous covenants. So I dug them out of the Bible and I think I found most of them. And this one was from 1994. And it says, I pledge to spend half an hour a day in prayer. I pledge to play the guitar at Mass, to be a Eucharistic minister to the shut-ins, and to help with the Social Action Committee. Sounds more like a promissory note or a contract, doesn't it? And I really think that that's what we thought Companions was in the beginning. You know, we had to list our social action stuff, sort of like best practices or evidence-based outcomes, like we were doing a grant application or something. I wasn't really sure. But over the years, I think my covenants got a little bit better as I started to understand what Precious Blood spirituality was. But first, I had to understand what spirituality was. And dear Lorraine Ramus, who was a companion, passed away. This is actually her shirt that I inherited, which means a lot to me. She gave us a definition at one of our companion meetings. Spirituality is a lifestyle that flows out of what you believe. And then I had to understand that we, as members and companions of the Precious Blood, are called by God to proclaim Gaspar's message, his message of reconciliation, of prayer, of hospitality, and of justice. And I think it's a gradual awakening. Like that wind. It's like beginning to understand the preferential option for the poor and the disenfranchised, and the yearning for reconciliation and the urge to welcome the stranger and the estranged. Over the years, in reflecting on these covenants, I can see how the precious blood spirituality has guided me in the stages of my life as a wife and mother and my career. And this stage of my life is so different. I'm entering my 7th decade now, and we're retired, and our kids are all married, and we'll soon have 12 grandkids. And yet being a companion is more important to me than it's ever been. As I realize that this blood-soaked world, Christ's blood-soaked world, it seems to be calling out to us from everywhere, doesn't it? So my covenant, which I just renewed, means more to me than it ever has. And it is certainly not because I know exactly where I came from or exactly where I'm going, because far from it. But as Jesus says in the gospel today, so it is with everybody born of the Spirit. It's really because this year, my covenant with the precious blood must be that new creation. As we've read in the wine press, all of us must be that new wine. That's exciting, even though it's scary, because we're not really sure what this means. But as the theologian Scott Hahn says, the difference between a covenant and a contract is this. A contract is an exchange of goods and services, which sounds a lot like that first covenant, right? Exchange of services. But a covenant calls for an exchange of persons. I am yours and you are mine. How many times did we hear that today? Relationship and love. And Father Dave just said that in his homily too. So I think that is it. So we must all be that new creation.